Hello, my dear students. Let us start with the second poem, that is The Schoolboy by William Blake. In the high school days, you may have heard of William Blake and his poems for what he is famous for. Today, what we are learning, that is The Schoolboy, it is his finest work, that is Songs of Experience. From that collection of poetry, we have chosen to read this poem, The Schoolboy. The schoolboy, even though you have entered the college, the school days, in a word to think, in a word to describe, the childhood memory is what we call. That is very precious one. And that makes us feel, even though we are so much sad, it will make us to fall in love. It will make us to have a smile on our face. It is a kind of making ourselves cheerful, making ourselves refreshed, and making ourselves reflected of our past. The schoolboy, it is nothing but in the same manner here you are going to read the poem by William Blake, how he had that experience when he was in school day. ಆ ಒಂದು ಸ್ಕೂಲಲ್ಲಿದ್ದಾಗ ಅವನಿಗೆ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪೀರಿಯನ್ಸ್ ಹೆಂಗಾಗಿತ್ತು. Nowadays, you people are so lucky. Sometimes you people are kept in hostels, or sometimes you people are not allowed to go to the hostel because your parents are so careful of you. And even though you are in hostel, nowadays parents are allowed to meet to the children as and then. ಅವಾಗ ಮಕ್ಕಳನ್ನ ಭೇಟಿಯಾಗ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಪರ್ಮಿಷನ್ ಕೊಡ್ತಾರೆ. But this, the writer, he has learned or finished his school days, the days when children until they complete a year, they were not allowed to meet their parents until they have their summer vacations. ಅಲ್ಲಿವರೆಗೂ ಅವರುಗಳಿಗೆ ಏನಿರ್ತಿದ್ದಿಲ್ಲ, ಅಲ್ಲೇ ಪರ್ಮಿಷನ್ ಇರ್ತಿದ್ದಿಲ್ಲ. Sometimes if you are going to attend higher classes, those summer days will also be having classes. ಅವತ್ತು ನಿಮಗೇನಾಗಿರ್ತಿತ್ತು, ಸ್ಕೂಲ್ ಇರುವಂತ ಪರಿಸ್ಥಿತಿ ಇರ್ತಿತ್ತು. Here in the poem, we are going to read those experiences of the writer or the speaker, what kind of burdensome that was to attend the school when you are so childish and you want to experience the way, the life in your own way. ನಿಮ್ಮದೇ ಆದ ರೀತಿ ಒಳಗ ಜೀವನವನ್ನ ಅನುಭವಿಸಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಅನ್ನೋ ಟೈಮ್ ಒಳಗ ಯು ಪೀಪಲ್ ಆರ್ ಆಸ್ಕ್ಡ್ ಟು ಅಟೆಂಡ್ ದ ಸ್ಕೂಲ್. ಅಂತಹ ಸಂದರ್ಭದೊಳಗೆ ಏನಾಗ್ತದ, ವಾಟ್ ಆರ್ ದ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪೀರಿಯನ್ಸಸ್ ದಾಟ್ ಹಿ ಈಸ್ ಗೋಯಿಂಗ್ ಟು ಶೇರ್ ವಿತ್ ಅಸ್, ಅದನ್ನ ನಮ್ಮ ಜೊತೆಗೆ ಇವಾಗಲ್ಲೇ ಶೇರ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. ದ ಪೋಯೆಟ್ ನಮ್ಮ ಹತ್ರ ಹೇಳೋರಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಅದನ್ನ. ಇಲ್ಲೇ ನಮ್ ಪ್ರೀ ರೀಡಿಂಗ್ ಇಟ್, ಎಸ್ಪೆಷಲಿ ಫಾರ್ ದಿಸ್ ಪೋಯಮ್ ದಿಸ್ ಈಸ್ ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್. ಇನ್ ಪ್ರೀ ರೀಡಿಂಗ್ ಆಕ್ಟಿವಿಟಿ they have asked, recall your school days. What memories do you have of them? They are asking us to remember, to recall. Recall is nothing to remember. To remember your school days. Definitely you all will first, even though with the help of this picture, you will also remember the days when you went out of the classroom, not inside the classroom. Classroom ಒಳಗೆ ಕೂತು that you have enjoyed a lot ಅಂತ memory you may get later, but not at first. First ನಿಮಗೆ ಅದು ಯಾವತ್ತೂ ಸಿಗಂಗಿಲ್ಲ. What memories do you have of them? What memories ಅಂತ ಕೇಳಿದಾಗ definitely a sweet one, a memorable one, the days you have spent freely like a bird. ಅಗ್ದಿ ಆರಾಮಾಗಿ ಫ್ರೀ ಆಗಿ ಸ್ಪೆಂಡ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಂಥ ಒಂದು ಟೈಮ್ ಅನ್ನು ನೀವೇನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಿರಲ್ಲೇ ನೆನಪು ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿಕ್ ಇಷ್ಟಪಡ್ತೀರಿ. ಇಲ್ಲೂ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ, ಶೇರ್ ದೋಸ್ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪೀರಿಯನ್ಸಸ್ ವಿತ್ ಯುವರ್ ಫ್ರೆಂಡ್ಸ್. ಐ ಆಮ್ ನಾಟ್ ಆಸ್ಕಿಂಗ್ ಟು ಶೇರ್ ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ವಿ ಆರ್ ನೌಡೇಸ್ ವಿ ಆರ್ ಎಂಜಾಯಿಂಗ್ ದ ಆನ್ಲೈನ್ ಕ್ಲಾಸಸ್. ಅದಕ್ಕೇನು ನೀವೇನು ಶೇರ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾಗಿಲ್ಲ. ಜಸ್ಟ್ ಥಿಂಕ್ ಆಫ್ ಯುವರ್ ಸೆಲ್ಫ್. ವಾಟ್ ಕೈಂಡ್ ಆಫ್ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪೀರಿಯನ್ಸ್ ಡು ಯು ವಾಂಟ್ ಟು ರಿಮೆಂಬರ್? Definitely, when we remember, when we go through the poem, when we go through the picture, the writer makes us to remind all those things which are very memorable one and very fruitful one and very cheerful one. ನಮ್ಗೆ ಅಗ್ದಿ ಸಂತೋಷ ಕೊಡುವಂತ ಒಂದು ಮೆಮೊರಿನ ಏನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾನೆ ರೈಟರ್ ನಮ್ಗೆ ನೆನಪು ಮಾಡಿಸ್ತಾನೆ ಹೊರತು ಹಿ ಇಸ್ ನಾಟ್ ಮೇಕಿಂಗ್ ಅಸ್ ಟು ರಿಮೈಂಡ್ ಆಫ್ ದೋಸ್ ಡೇಸ್ ವೆನ್ ವಿ ವೆರ್ ಬೀಟನ್ ಬೈ ಅವರ್ ಟೀಚರ್ಸ್. ನಮ್ಗೆ ಯಾವತ್ತ ನಮ್ಮ ಟೀಚರ್ ಹೊಡೆದು ಒಂದು ಮೂಲಿಯೊಳಗೆ ಕುಡಿಸಿರ್ತಾರ ಅದನ್ನೇನ್ ನೆನಪು ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳಿಕ್ಕೆ ಆಗಂಗಿಲ್ಲ ಅವನು. ಬಟ್ ದ ಸ್ವೀಟ್ ಮೆಮರೀಸ್, ವಾಟ್ ಆರ್ ಆಲ್ ದೋಸ್ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪೀರಿಯನ್ಸಸ್ ಯು ಎಂಜಾಯ್ಡ್ ಅ ಲಾಟ್, ಅದನ್ನೆಲ್ಲ ನಾವು ನೆನಪು ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ತೀವಿ. ಬಟ್ ಇನ್ ಕೇಸ್ ಆಫ್ ದ ಸ್ಪೀಕರ್ ಹಿಯರ್ ಇನ್ ದ ಪೋಯಮ್ ಒಳಗೆ ನಾವು ಸ್ಪೀಕರ್ ಅನ್ನ ನೋಡಿದ್ದೆ ಆದ್ರೆ he is going to speak of his experience which is so sad, which is so bad. You never wish to experience that kind of thing. On another hand, if you go through the poem, you may have not thought of that kind of experience of a school boy. Antha ಒಂದು ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪೀರಿಯನ್ಸ್ ಅನ್ನ ನೀವು ಯಾರು ಅಲ್ಲೇ ನೆನಪಿಸ್ಕೊಂಡಿರಂಗಿಲ್ಲ. ಯು ಮೇಡ್ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಥಾಟ್ ಆಫ್, ವಿಚಾರ ಕೂಡ ಮಾಡಿರಂಗಿಲ್ಲ. ಅಂಥ ಒಂದು ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪೀರಿಯನ್ಸ್ ಅನ್ನ ಇಲ್ಲೇ ಶೇರ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾನೆ. ಲೆಟ್ ಅಸ್ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ the poem. Dear students, here you have the poem. I love to rise in a summer morn when the birds sing on every tree. The distant huntsman winds his horn and the skylark sings with me. It is the first stanza of the poem, which makes us to understand that boy, the school boy, the speaker of the poem, is very cheerful, he is very happy and enjoying the moment. What kind of moment he is enjoying? He can enjoy yantha ಒಂದು moments ಅನ್ನು ಅವನು enjoy ಮಾಡ್ತಿದ್ದ. He loves to rise in a summer morning, an early morning. In the summer days, he loves to rise early morning. ಬೆಳಗಾದ ತಕ್ಷಣ ಎದ್ದೇಳಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಅವನಿಗೆ ಇಷ್ಟ ಆಗ್ತಿತ್ತು. ಎಂಥ ಟೈಮ್ ಒಳಗೆ ಎದ್ದೇಳ್ತಿದ್ದ? When the birds sing on every tree. When the birds sing on every tree. ಅಂದ್ರೆ if you wake up early in the morning, you can witness all these things which he has explained in the first stanza. That is very joyful moment. You too can enjoy that kind of experiences, will make you feel peaceful even though you are in a crowd. ಎಷ್ಟೇ ಕ್ರೌಡ್ ನೊಳಗಿದ್ರು ಇಂಥ ಎಲ್ಲ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪೀರಿಯನ್ಸಸ್ಗಳು ನಮ್ಮ ತಲೆ ಒಳಗೆ ಏನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾವ? they make us happy, they make us peaceful. ನಮಗೆ ಅಗ್ದಿ ಆರಾಮ್ ಅನಿಸುವಂಗ ಏನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾವ? ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪೀರಿಯನ್ಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ತವೆ. ಇವನಿಗೂ ಏನಾಗಿತ್ತು? when the birds sing on every tree. ನೋಡ್ರಿ, the birds sing on every tree. ಎಲ್ಲಾ ಗಿಡದ ಮೇಲೆ ನೀವು ನೋಡಿದ್ರಿ, ಎಲ್ಲಿ ನೋಡ್ತಿರಲ್ಲ ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಹಕ್ಕಿಗಳು ಕಾಣಿಸ್ತಿದ್ವು, and they are singing early in the morning. That song of the birds on every tree, this child, this speaker, this school boy would like to enjoy. ಅದನ್ನ ಎಂಜಾಯ್ ಮಾಡ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಇವನು ಇಷ್ಟಪಡ್ತಿದ್ದ. When the birds sing on every tree, the distant huntsman winds his horn. When these birds start singing, the huntsman duty, what his duty is? Catching the birds, collecting them. ಹಂಟ್ಸ್ಮ್ಯಾನ್ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೇನೆ ಅವನ್ ಏನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಿದ್ದ? ಹಂಟಿಂಗ್ ಮಾಡೋದೇ ಅವನ್ ಕೆಲಸ ಆಗಿರ್ತದ. The distant huntman winds his horn. The contrast you can see here. One, there the birds are so happy and they are enjoying the morning, early morning sun, early morning cool breeze. And the same time this huntsman will make his duty too, winds his horn. The schoolboy is enjoying the songs of the bird. The schoolboy is enjoying the winds of the horn by huntsman, and the skylark sings with me. You can see, you can observe the words, what that speaker is telling us. The skylark sings with me. Nodri, he himself is not singing with the skylark, but he assumes, he considers, he thinks that the skylark is following his song, but not he himself. ಆ ಹಕ್ಕಿನೇ ಇವನು ಹಾಡೋದನ್ನ ನೋಡಿ ಹಾಡ್ತಿತ್ತಂತ, ಆದ್ರೆ ಅದು ಹಾಡೋದನ್ನ ಕೇಳಿ ಇವನು ಅದನ್ನ ಕಾಪಿ ಮಾಡ್ಲಿಕ್ಕತ್ತಿದ್ದಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾನೆ. The fact is, the skylark song we do all would like to copy, would like to follow, would like to do the same. ಅದೇ ರೀತಿಯೊಳಗೆ ನಾವು ಮಾಡ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಇಷ್ಟಪಡ್ತೀವಿ. ಆದ್ರೆ ಇಲ್ಲಿ The imagination of the speaker, the imagination of this school boy is so strong, it is so enjoyable that he thinks the skylark is following him, his song. ಇವನಂತೆ ಸ್ಕೈಲಾರ್ಕ್ ಹಾಡ್ಲಿಕತ್ತದ ಅಂಡ್ ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಸಿಂಗಿಂಗ್ ವಿತ್ ಹಿಮ್, ಅವನ ಜೊತೆಗೇನೆ ಹಾಡ್ಲಿಕತ್ತದ ಅಂತಂದ ಅವನಿಗಲ್ಲೇ ಅನಿಸ್ತಿತ್ತು. It is the only stanza in the poem which makes us to consider the boy is happy. ಈ ಹುಡುಗ ಬಹಳ ಸಂತೋಷವಾಗಿದ್ದಾನಂತಂದು ಹೇಳಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ನಮ್ಗಿದು ಒಂದೇ ಸ್ಟಾನ್ಸಾ ನಮ್ಗೆ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಸಿಗ್ತದ ಹೊರತು ಬೇರೆ ಎಲ್ಲ ಏನದ, all his bad experiences throughout the day in the school. ಒಂದು ಸ್ಕೂಲ್ ಡೇ ಅನ್ನ ಸ್ಪೆಂಡ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ what makes him so sad, when he feels so happy, that he is going to distinguish between the nature and the environment in the room. The nature and environment inside the room. What is that difference? He is going to elaborate throughout the poem. In the beginning, as I said you, what kind of experiences you all do have. ಎಂಥ ಅನುಭವಗಳನ್ನ ನೀವು ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳಿಕತ್ತೀರಿ ಅಂತ ಅನ್ನೋದನ್ನ ಏನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾನೆ ಇವನಿಲ್ಲೇ ತನ್ನ ಒಂದು ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪೀರಿಯನ್ಸ್ ಅನ್ನ ನಮ್ಗಿಲ್ಲೇ ಶೇರ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾನೆ. Now remember, it is the only first stanza which makes us to understand what are the happy moments of this child, and when he will be happy, what are his sweet companies. This will be asked for 1 mark. Sweet company, that is singing, birds on every tree, huntsman's horn, and the skylark. These are the 3 aspects which he loved to enjoy early summer morning. ಸಮರ್ದೊಳಗ early ಇದನ್ನೆಲ್ಲ ಎಂಜಾಯ್ ಮಾಡ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಅವನು ಇಷ್ಟಪಡ್ತಿದ್ದ. In the second stanza, oh what a sweet company, but as he said in the first stanza, these are all the things as his sweet company. What he says in the second stanza, but to go to school on a summer morning, it drives all joy away. Under a cruel eye outworn, the little ones spend the day in sighing and dismay. He says, in the first stanza, we all have understood that the boy, the speaker, the child is so happy and he is enjoying his sweet company. Whereas the second stanza is completely different. It's opposite of it. But to go to school, when he gets the thought, when he start thinking the time is up, you have to move to school, you cannot hold the time. If you get late, you will be punished by your teacher. That is what he is trying to tell. The child, it is so childish. The child is so innocent. The child never knows why I am made to go to school. Why I should learn by sitting in a room. Why I should learn all that thing told by another. ಇನ್ನೊಬ್ರು ಹೇಳಿದ್ದನ್ನ ನಾ ಯಾಕೆ ಕಲಿಬೇಕು. In the first stanza, as we read the lines, as he said in the last 2 lines, the skylark sings with me. That means his imagination capacity is so good, he would like to improvise that. But when you are in a school, you people are asked to do the same what is being told by your teacher. To do the same what is being asked by your teacher in the examination, to understand the way your teacher makes you to understand. That is what he is trying to tell here. But to go to school on a summer morning, it drives all joy away. That joy with the company of those sweets, ಅದನ್ನೆಲ್ಲ ಏನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತದಂತಂದ್ರೆ Even that remembrance of school, remembrance of time, that makes this child to vanish all the happiness from him away. Under a cruel eye outworn. Cruel eye outworn antandre, here they have given the meaning authoritarian ways of teaching anta ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ. Here, one thing you have to make a difference between. In the first stanza, what that child said is, the skylark is singing with me. If you ask your mother or your parent, if you ask your teacher, they will make you understand skylark is not singing with you. It is you singing with skylark. That is the difference between learning by yourself and learning with the others' ideas. ಇನ್ನೊಬ್ಬರ ವಿಚಾರವನ್ನ ನೀನು ತಿಳ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋದು ಬೇರೆ ಆಗ್ತದ, ನಿನ್ನ ಸ್ವಂತ ವಿಚಾರವನ್ನ ನೀನು ಹೊರಗೆ ಹಾಕೋದು ಬೇರೆ ಆಗ್ತದ. That is what here the school boy or the speaker is trying to tell us. Under a cruel eye outworn, the environment of the school, how it is, ಹೆಂಗಿರ್ತದ ಅಂತ ಕೇಳಿದ್ದೆ ಆದ್ರೆ authoritarian ways of teaching. There is somebody to make authorized, there is somebody to control you, there is someone who will ask you to do as they wish. ಅವ್ರು ಹೇಳದಂತೆ ನಡಿಬೇಕು, ಅವ್ರು ಹೇಳಿದ್ದನ್ನೇ ಕಲಿಬೇಕು. ಯು ಕೆನಾಟ್ ಮೇಕ್ ಚೇಂಜ್ ದೇರ್. ಇಲ್ಲಿನೂ ಹಂಗೆ ಹೇಳ್ತಾನೆ, ಅಂಡರ್ ಅ ಕ್ರೂಯಲ್ ಐ ಔಟ್ವಾರ್ನ್. The whole sentence gets the meaning like authoritarian ways of teaching, nothing but controlled ways of teaching. That means you are asked to learn what your teacher is telling. You are asked to behave what your teacher wants to behave you like. ಅವ್ರು ಹೇಳದಂತೆ ಬಿಹೇವ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು, ಅವ್ರು ಹೇಳಿದ್ದಂತೆನೆ ಕಲಿಬೇಕು. You are not allowed to change anything or behave or learn according to your wish. ನಿನಗೇನ್ ಬೇಕಾಗಿರ್ತದೋ ಅದನ್ನ ನೀನಲ್ಲೇ ಮಾಡ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಆಗಂಗಿಲ್ಲ. Whereas he was in the company of nature, he was in the company of those sweet things, that boy was doing his own things. There is no restriction, there is no control on his imagination. Nobody was there to hold him. ಯಾರು ಅವನನ್ನು ಹಿಡಿದು ಹಾಕ್ಲಿಕ್ಕಲ್ಲೇ ಆಗ್ತಿರ್ಲಿಲ್ಲ. ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಹೇಳ್ತಾನೆ the little ones. ಇಂಥ ಒಂದು ಪರಿಸ್ಥಿತಿ ಒಳಗೆ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತಂತ, the little ones spend the day in sighing and dismay. They will get bored. The little ones, these are nothing but the school children. ಎಲ್ಲ ಮಕ್ಕಳಿಗೆ ಹೆಂಗ ಅನಿಸ್ತದ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ, you can see when they are in the classroom, they will be very silent and they will be like sitting so politely. Once they get the ring to get out to the ground, they will be like anything. They will shout, they will cry, so loud actions they will do. They are free to do now anything in the ground. That makes them cheerful. ಎಷ್ಟು ಖುಷಿಲೇ ಓಡ್ ಹೋಗ್ತಾವ ಮಕ್ಕಳು ಒಂದ್ಸರಿ ಆಟಕ್ಕದಪ್ಪ ಟೈಮ್ ಅಂತ ಗೊತ್ತಾಗಿದ್ದೆ ಆದ್ರೆ. And even when the time, the bell rings to the end of the school ಮುಗಿತು ಅಂತಂದಾಗ ಅದೇ ಶೌಟ್ ಕೇಳಿಸ್ತೀವಿ. But while entering the school, you will not see that kind of cheerfulness in the children's face. ಆ ಮಗುವಿನ ಮುಖದೊಳಗೆ ಅಂಥ ಒಂದು ಖುಷಿಯನ್ನ ನೀವಲ್ಲೇ ನೋಡ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಆಗಂಗಿಲ್ಲ. ಇಲ್ಲಿನೂ ಅದನ್ನೇ ಹೇಳ್ತಾನೆ. That poet, the child, the boy is telling the same. The little ones spend the day. How do they spend the day in the school? 1 mark ಕೇಳ್ತಾರೆ ನಿಮ್ಗೆ. ಹೆಂಗ್ ಸ್ಪೆಂಡ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ? In sighing and dismay. Sighing and dismay means they are tired. Not by physically but mentally. ಹೆಂಗಾಗ್ತದೆ? If you are asked, you are mentally prepared for something. Now you are mentally prepared to watch and adjust with this video class. But in the beginning, it was kind of burdensome for you people. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಅದೇ ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಟಿಂಗಿಗೆ ನಾವು ಅಡ್ಜಸ್ಟ್ ಆಗ್ಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ನಮ್ಗೆ ಹೆಂಗಾಗ್ತದೆ? burdensome. By sitting you are watching the videos, but to do the work mentally it will be strain. That kind of tiredness will be there with the child. That is called a dismay, that feeling fear, discouragement. ಹೆಂಗಾಗ್ತದ ಭಯ ಇದ್ದಾಗ ನೀವು ಟಯರ್ಡ್ ಆಗಿ ಎಷ್ಟು ಯಾವಾಗ ಭಯ ಆಗ್ತಿರೋ ಹತ್ ಮಕ್ಕಳು ಮಲ್ಕೊಂಡಿದ್ದನ್ನ ನೀವು ನೋಡಿರ್ತೀರಿ. ಅದನ್ನೇ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಹೇಳಿರ್ತಾನೆ, ದ ಲಿಟಲ್ ಒನ್ಸ್ spend the day in tired some and in dismay. Dismay is nothing but with full of discouragement. ಎದಕ್ಕೆ discourage ಮಾಡಿರೋ? To develop their imagination, to develop their thoughts, to develop themselves. They have been discouraged. ಅವುಗಳಿಗೆ ಅವಕಾಶ ಇಲ್ಲ. ನಾವ್ ಹೆಂಗ್ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವೋ ಹಂಗೆ ಹೇಳ್ಬೇಕು ಹೊರತು ಅವರು ಅವ್ರಗಳದೇ ಆಗಿದ್ದಂತ ವಿಚಾರನ ಶೇರ್ ಮಾಡ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಆಗಂಗಿಲ್ಲ. That is what the difference between sitting in a classroom and being enjoyed with the nature. ಆ ನಿಸರ್ಗದ ಜೊತೆಗೆ ಎಂಜಾಯ್ ಮಾಡೋದೇ ಬೇರೆ ಆಗ್ತದ, ಈ ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ ರೂಮ್ ಒಳಗೆ ಕೂತ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋದೇನೆ ಬೇರೆ ಆಗಿರ್ತದೆ. And in the third stanza, then at times I drooping sit and spend many an anxious hour, nor in my book can I take delight, nor sit in learning's bore, borne through with the dreary shower. Here the poet is conveying the same. What are the other experiences of the child if it is been restricted or asked to sit in a room at early age or stage, whatever you can call, childhood days ಅಂತ ಏನ್ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಲ್ಲ, ಆ ಒಂದು ಟೈಮ್ ಒಳಗ nowadays you all can see, when we are children at the age of 5 or at the age of 6, we have been started entering the school. But nowadays, when the child becomes of second, that is 2-year-old, the child is asked to enter the school. That time the teacher will make, no, you should not do that, that should not be done, it is the way you should behave. From the age of 2, it starts restricting itself. It's a development. 2 ವರ್ಷ ಆಗ್ತಿದ್ದಂಗೆನೆ ಅದರದ ಡೆವಲಪ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಎಲ್ಲ ಏನಾಗ್ತದ, ರಿಸ್ಟ್ರಿಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ. ಇಫ್ ಇಟ್ ಮೇಕ್ಸ್ ಲೌಡ್ ನಾಯ್ಸ್, ಏನಾರು ಆಟ ಆಡ್ಕೋತ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೆ, ನೋ, ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ನಾಟ್ ಮ್ಯಾನರ್ಸ್ ಅಂತ ಅವಾಗ ನಾವು ಏನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ, ಕಲಿಸ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ. ದ್ಯಾಟ್ ಈಸ್ ವಾಟ್ ಹಿ ಈಸ್ ಟ್ರೈಂಗ್ ಟು ಕನ್ವೆ ಅಸ್ at that times ಅಂದ್ರೆ when the child is tired, it is full of fear, it is being discouraged by the teacher, what it will do, ಏನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತದ, I drooping said. To droop ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನು, ತಲೆ ಬಾಗ್ಸ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋದು. ನಾವ್ ಯಾವಾಗ ತಲೆ ಬಾಗ್ಸ್ಕೊಂಡು ಕೂಡ್ತೀವಿ, only at 2 times. One is when we commit some mistake and second is when we are not interested. ಕೇಳಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಇಂಟ್ರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಇದ್ದಿದ್ದಿಲ್ಲ ಒಂದು, ಆಮೇಲೆ ಒಂದ್ ಕಡೆಯಿಂದ ಏನಾದ್ರು ತಪ್ಪಾಗಿರ್ಬೇಕು, ಅವಾಗ ತಲೆ ಬಾಗಿಸ್ತೀವಿ ನಾವು. ಇಲ್ಲಿನೂ ಏನ್ ಮಾಡ್ಲಿಕತ್ತಿತ್ತು ಮಗುವಿಗೆ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ, ಇಟ್ ವಾಸ್ ನಾಟ್ ಇಂಟ್ರೆಸ್ಟೆಡ್ ಟು ಸಿಟ್ ದೇರ್ very calmly and learning to the teacher's teachings. Forcefully it is asked to learn all those things, but not willingly. ಎಲ್ಲದಕ್ಕೊಂದು ಪ್ರೆಷರ್ ಆಗ್ಲಿಕತ್ತಿತ್ತು, ನೀವ್ ಇದನ್ನೇ ಕಲಿಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಅನ್ನೋ ರೀತಿ ಒಳಗ. ಅದಕ್ಕದು ಬರ್ಡನ್ ಏನಾಗಿತ್ತಲ್ಲ, ಇಟ್ ಕೆನಾಟ್ ವಿತ್ ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಂಡ್, ಅದನ್ನ ಹೋಲ್ಡ್ ಮಾಡ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಆಗ್ಲಿಕತ್ತಿದ್ದಿಲ್ಲ. ಏನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಿತ್ತು, ಇಟ್ ಸಿಟ್ಸ್ ಬೈ ಡ್ರೂಪಿಂಗ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಸ್ಪೆಂಡ್ ಮೆನಿ an anxious hour. Spending an anxious hour means restlessness. Even though physically you won't do anything at home, but mentally what you do, that too can make you restless. ಮನುಷ್ಯ ತನ್ನ ಒಂದು ವಿಚಾರ ಮತ್ತು ಫಿಸಿಕ್ ಎರಡನ್ನೂ ಅಟ್ಯಾಚ್ ಮಾಡೋದು ಬೇರೆ ಆಗ್ತದ, ಇಂಟ್ರೆಸ್ಟೆಡ್ ಆಗಿ ಮಾಡೋದು ಬೇರೆ ಆಗ್ತದ, ಅನ್ವಿಲ್ಲಿಂಗ್ಲಿ ಮಾಡೋದು ಬೇರೆ ಆಗ್ತದ. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಏನ್ ಮಾಡ್ಲಿಕತ್ತಿತ್ತು, this ಸ್ಕೂಲ್ ಬಾಯ್ was doing everything unwillingly. So that was making him restless. He was forced to learn. He was forced to do the same. ಎಲ್ಲದಕ್ಕೂ ಅವನಿಗೊಂದು ಫೋರ್ಸ್ ಆಗಿತ್ತು, ಪ್ರೆಷರ್ ಆಗಿತ್ತು. ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಅವ್ನು ಮಾಡ್ಲಿಕ್ಕತ್ತಿತ್ತು ಹೊರತು ಇಂಟ್ರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಇರಲಿಲ್ಲ. ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ವಾಟ್ makes him feel the day, the whole day, kind of an anxious hours for the boy. He feels restless. ಅವನಿಗೆ ರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಇಲ್ದಂಗ ಫೀಲ್ ಆಗ್ತಿತ್ತು. Now in the third stanza, third line, the boy is making us to understand, nor in book can I take delight. You have to make difference between this line. Can I take delight in my book? It is asking all of us, not only to the parent, not only to the teacher, to the readers. ಯಾರ್ಯಾರು ಈ poem ಅನ್ನ ನಾವೆಲ್ಲರೂ ಓದ್ತಿದೀವಲ್ಲ, ನಮಗಿದು ಕೇಳ್ತದ. Can I be delighted in the book? In the book means by reading a book. Am I able to be delighted? You can think the first stanza. In the first stanza, when it was in the sweet company, the boy was so delightful. The boy was so cheerful. He was so happy. So now he is conveying us. He is telling us, he is asking as well as giving us the message. I cannot be delighted with the books. Can it be done? ನನಗೆ ಬುಕ್ ಓದಿದ್ರೆ ನನಗೆ ಡಿಲೈಟ್ ಆಗುದಿಲ್ಲ, ನಾ ಸಂತೋಷವಾಗಿರ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಆಗಂಗಿಲ್ಲ. ಆಗ್ತದೇನೋ ಅಂತಂದು ಕ್ವಶನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾನೆ, ಉತ್ತರನೂ ಹೇಳಿರ್ತಾನೆ. Nor sit in learning's boar. Learning boar is nothing but it is a comparison for the school. Learning's boar, for 1 mark these questions will be asked. Anxious hour means where it cannot take delight. Learning's bore means these all will be asked for 1 mark. ಏನಾಗಿತ್ತು? nor sit in learning's bore ಅಂದ್ರೆ it cannot be delighted in the book, with book or with reading or with the learning or spending time in the school. ಎಲ್ಲಿನೂ ಇದಕ್ಕೆ ಏನಾಗಂಗಿಲ್ಲ, ಸಂತೋಷ ಅಂತನೂ ಸಿಗಂಗಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂತದಲ್ಲೇ ಮೆನ್ಷನ್ ಮಾಡ್ಲಿಕತ್ತಿತ್ತು. worn through with the dreary shower. ಇದು ಹೆಂಗಾಗ್ಲಿಕತ್ತದ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ, here the boy is making us to understand, born through. It is kind of burdensome things we are asked to do. We cannot hold it on. We cannot manage it. I cannot be delighted. ನನಗೆ ಸಂತೋಷನೇ ಸಿಗದಿರುವಂತಹ ಕೆಲಸ ನನ್ನಿಂದ ಮಾಡ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಆಗಂಗಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿಕತ್ತದ. With the dreary shower. Dreary shower is nothing but tiresome aspects of the school. ಇಲ್ಲಿ tiresome aspects ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ not physically but mentally. ಮೆಂಟಲಿ ಯಾವಾಗ ಟಯರ್ಡ್ ಆಗ್ಲಿಕತ್ತಿದ್ದ? when he is not interested to sit in a classroom and asked to teachers teachings. ಅವ್ರು ಕಲಿಸೋದನ್ನ ಇವನಿಗೆ ಯಾವಾಗ ಕಲೀಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಆಗ್ಲಿಕತ್ತಿದ್ದಿಲ್ಲ, that was making him tiresome. That was the tiresome aspects of the school. ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಹೇಳ್ತಾನೆ, I cannot enjoy. ನನಗೆ ಅದನ್ನ ಎಂಜಾಯ್ ಮಾಡ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಆಗಂಗಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ದ. ಬಟ್ in the next stanza, what he will make us to learn. How can the bird? Here he is comparing himself. Very clearly you have to understand from this poem 1 mark questions. Many 1 mark questions can be asked. How can the bird that is born for joy? How can a bird that is born for joy sit in a cage and sing? Again, he is comparing himself as a bird. ತನ್ನನ್ನ ತಾನು ಈ ಮಗು ಏನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಿದೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ, it is thinking himself as a bird. A bird is symbolic of freedom. A bird is symbolic happiness. A bird is symbolizes it can go anywhere. It cannot be held. ನಾವು ಅದನ್ನ ಹಿಡಿದಿಡ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಆಗಂಗಿಲ್ಲ. ಬರ್ಡ್ ಅಂತ ಕರೆಯುವುದು ಯಾವಾಗ ನಾವು? when it has a wing. Wing, for what it stands for? ಟು ಫ್ಲೈ ಫ್ರೀಲಿ. ಹಾರಾಡ್ಲಿಕ್ಕಂತಾನೆ ಅದು ಹುಟ್ಟಿದ್ದು ಹೊರತು ಅದನ್ನ ನಾವು ಕಟ್ ಹಿಡ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಆಗೋದಿಲ್ಲ. ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಹೇಳುತ್ತದೆ, ಮಗು ಕೇಳುತ್ತದೆ, ಹೌ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ದ ಬರ್ಡ್, ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಕಂಪೇರಿಂಗ್ ಇಟ್ ಸೆಲ್ಫ್ ವಿತ್ ಅ ಬರ್ಡ್, ಹೌ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ದ ಬರ್ಡ್ ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ born for joy sit in a cage and sing? Is it possible to a bird by sitting to sing by sitting in a cage? ಒಂದು ಬರ್ಡ್ ಅನ್ನ ನೀವು ಕೂಡ ಹಾಕಿ ಅಲ್ಲೇ ಒಳಗ್ ಕುತ್ಕೊಂಡು ಹಾಡು ಅಂತಂದು ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಅದರಿಂದ ಆಗ್ತದೇನೋ ಅಂತ ಕೇಳ್ತಾನೆ. In the same manner, here cage, bird stands for the school boy, the cage stands for the school, the tiresome aspects of the school. Can it be done by the bird? Is it possible it to sing? ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಕೂತ್ ಹಾಡಾಡ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಆಗ್ತದೇನೋ ಅಂತ ಕೇಳುತ್ತದ. No. It can never enjoy. Whenever it is delighted, whenever it is joyful, then only it can sing. Then only it can make the other to feel happy, to make others to joy. ಇನ್ನೊಬ್ಬರನ್ನ ತನ್ನ ಹಾಡಿನಿಂದ ಯಾವಾಗ ಸಂತೋಷ ಪಡಿಸ್ತದ? When he himself is in the joyful environment. So that the school boy is making us, the readers, to the parents, he is giving us the message. ಏನ್ ಕೊಡ್ತಾನೆ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ, if you are asked the child in the early ages, when it is the time to be free and playing in the ground and enjoying the nature, if you make the child to sit in the classroom and learn, how can that is possible to a child? ಅದರದು ವಯಸ್ಸಿನ ಸಾಣದ, ಅದರಿಂದ ಮಾಡ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಆಗಂಗಿಲ್ಲ. ಅಂತಹ ಸಂದರ್ಭದೊಳಗೆ ನೀವು ಮಾಡು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ದೆ ಆದ್ರೆ, is it possible to a child? In the same manner he is doing the same. How that bird can't sing by sitting in a cage, in the same manner this boy cannot be delighted, he cannot be learned, he cannot be joyful if you are asked, you are forced to sit in the classroom and learn what was being taught by the teacher. ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಏನ್ ಕಲಿಸ್ತಿರ್ತಾರೋ ಅವ್ರದ್ದು ಕಲಿಸಿದ್ದನ್ನ ನೀನ್ ಕಲಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಅದರಿಂದ ಆಗಂಗಿಲ್ಲ. The time it is not possible ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾನೆ. How can a child, when fears annoy, but droop his tender wing and forget his youthful spring? Here the child is asking. It's a general statement to the reader or to the parent or to the teacher, to anyone who is making the child or forcing the child to learn or to behave, mannered behavior ಅಂತ ಏನ್ ಕರಿತೀವಲ್ಲ, ಅದನ್ನ ಆ ವಯಸ್ಸಿನೊಳಗೆ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪೆಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಬಾರದು. ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಹೇಳ್ತಾನೆ, how can a child when fears annoy, it is full of fearful aspect, if it disagrees with the parents to not to school, to go to school, parents will make it punished. If it doesn't do the homework, teacher will punish it. If it doesn't play with his friends, there will be nobody and it will be sitting alone somewhere else. ಯಾರು ಇರಂಗಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂದ್ರೆ the forceful environment of the society, that is a kind of burdensome to the child ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿರ್ತಾನೆ. But droop his tender wing. If you are forcing the child to do according to your wish, that what can it do? ಅದರಿಂದ ಏನ್ ಮಾಡ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಆಗ್ತದ? It will not sing. Instead of that, it will droop its tender wing. Tender wings ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಯಾವ್ದಾಗಿತ್ತಿಲ್ಲ? Wing ಏನಾಗಿತ್ತು? In the first stanza, as the child has its imagination, that was a kind of wing for him. ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಹೇಳ್ತಾನೆ, it can droop his tender wing. ಏನ್ ಮಾಡ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಆಗುದಿಲ್ಲ ಅದರಿಂದ. It only can droop, it only can vanish, it only can be separated with its imagination power. That will not be improved and forget his youthful spring. If it is unable to understand, if it is unable to be delighted in the childhood days, the boy, when it is youthful, when it is so young and energetic, at that stage it would try to forget the spring. Andre, when it is about to develop with the past, with the remembrance of the past, there will be nothing left to remind. ಏನು ಅಂತ ಒಂದು ಒಳ್ಳೆಯ ಒಂದು ಆಸ್ಪೆಕ್ಟ್ಸ್ ಗಳಿರಂಗಿಲ್ಲ ನೆನಪಿಸ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿಕ್ಕೆ ಅಂತಂದು ಹೇಳ್ತಾನೆ. ಓ ಫಾದರ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಮದರ್, in these two stanza, that is fifth and sixth one, it is giving a direct message to the parenthood. ತಂದೆ ತಾಯಿಗೆ ಇದೊಂದು ಡೈರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಆಗಿ ಸ್ಪೀಕರ್ ತನ್ನ ಒಂದು ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪೀರಿಯನ್ಸ್ ಅನ್ನ ಹೇಳ್ತಾನೆ. he is conveying, he is giving a message. Oh father and mother, if buds are nipped and blossoms blown away, and if the tender plants stripped of their joy and in the springing day by the sorrow and care's dismay, what will happen? He is telling the same. ಏನಾಗ್ತದೆ? Here he is giving us the example of a plant. Here that plant is being compared to the growth of a child. ಏನಾಗ್ತದೆ? If the buds are nipped, when it is time to blow, it is time to have the buds. At that time, if you cut the plant, it will not blow away. ಅದರಿಂದ ಏನಾಗಂಗಿಲ್ಲ, ಚಿಗುರುವಂತ ಸಮಯದೊಳಗ ಆ ಚಿಗುರನ್ನೇ ನೀನ್ ಕಟ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಹಾಕಿದ್ದೆ ಆದ್ರೆ ಚಿಗುರ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಆಗ್ತದೇನೋ? ನೋ, ಇಟ್ ವಿಲ್ ಟೇಕ್ ಟೈಮ್, ಇಟ್ ವಿಲ್ ಬಿ ಹಿಂಡರ್ಡ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ. ಹಿಂಡರ್ಡ್ ಈಸ್ ನಥಿಂಗ್ ಬಟ್ ಕಂಟ್ರೋಲ್ ಆಫ್ ದ ಗ್ರೋತ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ. ಯು ಆಲ್ ಮೇ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಹರ್ಡ್ ಆಫ್ ಅ ಕೈಂಡ್ ಆಫ್ ಪ್ಲಾಂಟೇಶನ್ that is called bonsai. You may have heard of it. Bonsai plantation ಅಂತ ನಾವು ಕರಿತೀವಿ. bonsai ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ, ಇವನ್ ದೊಡ್ಡದೊಂದು ಆಲದ ಮರನು ಕೂಡ ಏನ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು, ಒಂದ್ ಸಣ್ಣ ಪಾಟ್ ನೊಳಗೆ ಬಳಸಬಹುದು. ಹೆಂಗ್ ಬೆಳೆಸ್ತೀವಿ? by hindering its growth, by controlling its growth, by having the control over its growth. The same thing the parents are doing with the children ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾನೆ. and the blossoms blown away, ಮಗ್ಗನ್ನೇ ನೀನು ಕಿತ್ತು ಹಾಕ್ಬಿಟ್ರ ಅದನ್ನ ಅರಳುವುದನ್ನ ನೀನು ಎಂಜಾಯ್ ಮಾಡ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಎಲ್ಲಿ ಆಗ್ತದ? and if the tender plants stripped, these are all the same, but the words are different. Tender plants are stripped and their joy in the springing day by sorrow. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಚಿಗುರು ಸ್ಪ್ರಿಂಗಿಂಗ್ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಏನ್ ಕರಿತೀವಿ? ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ನಥಿಂಗ್ ಬಟ್ ದೇರ್ ಜಾಯ್. ಹೌ ದೋಸ್ ಪ್ಲಾಂಟ್ಸ್, ಹೌ ದೋಸ್ ಫ್ಲವರ್ಸ್, ಹೌ ದೋಸ್ ಟ್ರೀಸ್ ವಿಲ್ ಮೇಕ್ ದಮ್ಸೆಲ್ಫ್ ಡಿಲೈಟೆಡ್. ಹೆಂಗ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾವ? ಬೈ ಸ್ಪ್ರಿಂಗಿಂಗ್. ಆ ಸ್ಪ್ರಿಂಗಿಂಗ್ ಡೇಸ್ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೇನೆ ಅವುಗಳಿಗೆ ಸಂತೋಷವಾಗಿರೋದು. ಇಫ್ ಯು ಕಟ್ ದೆಮ್ ಬಿಫೋರ್ ದ ಸ್ಪ್ರಿಂಗಿಂಗ್ ಡೇ, ಹೌ ದೇ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಎಂಜಾಯ್. ಅದು ಮಾಡ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಆಗಂಗಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂತಂದಿಲ್ಲೇ ಹೇಳ್ತಾನೆ. by the sorrow and care's dismay. ಹೆಂಗಾಗಿರ್ತದ ಕಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದಾಗ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ they are full of sorrow and care's dismay. Dismay, it has been disappeared. ಯಾವುದು ಡಿಸಪಿಯರ್ ಆಗಿರ್ತದಲ್ಲೇ? care. ಅಂದ್ರೆ nobody is there to care for us if you send us to the school forcefully. To with whom we can share our feelings. ಯಾರ ಹತ್ರ ನಾವು ಹೇಳ್ಬೇಕು ಪೇರೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಹತ್ರನೇ. ಪೇರೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಅರ್ಥ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಯಾರು ಅರ್ಥ ಮಾಡ್ಕೋಬೇಕು ಅಂತಂದಿಲ್ಲೇ ಅದು ಕ್ವಶನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತದೆ. ಹೌ ಶಾಲ್ ದ ಸಮರ್ ರೈಸ್ ಇನ್ ಜಾಯ್, ಹೌ ಶಾಲ್ ದ ಸಮರ್ ರೈಸ್ ಇನ್ ಜಾಯ್ ಆರ್ ಸಮರ್ ಫ್ರೂಟ್ಸ್ ಅಪಿಯರ್. ಅಂದ್ರೆ at the days of springing, if you cut them, if you strip them, how can a tree give fruits? How can a plant give flowers? ಚಿಗುರು ಬೇಕಾಗಿದ್ದಂತ ಸಮಯದೊಳಗೆ ಕತ್ತರಿಸಿ ಹಾಕ್ಬಿಟ್ರೆ ಹೂನು ಬಿಡಂಗಿಲ್ಲ, ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಹಣ್ಣು ಸಿಗಂಗಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾನೆ. or the summer fruits appear. How shall we gather what griefs destroy? How shall we gather ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ to collect. Gather ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ collect. What we should collect? What was being destroyed by this grief. Illi grief andre yavudagittu? At the early age the child was asked to enter the school and learn what was being taught. ಏನು ಕಲಿಸ್ತಾರೋ ಅದನ್ನ ಕಲೀಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಏನು ಫೋರ್ಸ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರಲ್ಲ ಅದು ಹೇಳಿಕತ್ತದ. What was being destroyed by the grief are know how I am being hindered, how I am being controlled by all those authoritarian environment. How can I get them back? Is there any possibilities that I can get them back? Time ondsari pass ಆಯ್ತಂದ್ರೆ ಏನಾಗಲ್ಲ, you cannot hold it back. ಮತ್ತೆ ನಿಮಗೆ ಸಿಗಂಗಿಲ್ಲ. ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಹೇಳ್ತದೆ, how shall we gather what griefs destroy? Whatever we have lost, that cannot gathered back. ಮತ್ತೊಂದ್ಸರಿ ನಮಗದು ಸಿಗುದಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂತಂದು ಹೇಳತ್ತು. Or bless the mellowing year. Mellowing year nothing but the old age ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ. Mellowing year, when you are old, at old age, you can see the people old age surrounded by you. ಮನೆಯೊಳಗೆ ಎಲ್ಲರನ್ನು ನೋಡ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಆಗ್ತದೆ. ಏನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ? Their duty is nothing but sharing their own experiences of their life. ಎಂಥ ಅನುಭವಗಳನ್ನು ಹೇಳ್ತಾರ ಅವರು ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ, what they have enjoyed. The possibilities to create a life, the possibilities to make a life, but not to destroy the life. ಜೀವನ ಹೆಂಗ ಹಾಳು ಮಾಡ್ಕೋಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಕಲ್ಸಂಗಿಲ್ಲ ಹೊರತು ಅವ್ರು ಯಾವ್ದು ಒಳ್ಳೇದಾಗ್ತದ ಅಂತ ಕಲಿಸ್ತಿರ್ತಾರೆ. ಅದನ್ನ ಹೇಳ್ಬೇಕು ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನು? Once you have to experience and then you can share it. Here the child is telling, if you hinder, if you control those experiences, what can I share with my grandchildren? Andre in the same manner, now the child is child, the cycle will go on. Life cycle ಏನಾಗ್ತದೆ? ಕಂಟಿನ್ಯೂ ಆಗ್ತದೆ ಹೋಗ್ತದೆ. Today you are child, one or the other day you will be grandparent. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಇದು ಬದಲಾವಣೆ ಆಗ್ತಾನೆ ಹೋಗ್ತಿರ್ತದೆ ಹೊರತು ನಾನು ಏನ್ ಶೇರ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಬೇಕು? There will be nothing left except grief, except the destruction ಅಂತಂದು ಅದಲ್ಲೇ ಮೆನ್ಷನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತದೆ. When the blasts of winter appear, is it possible to hold me? Blast of winter appear again, it's kind of old age. Old age adag enagtada? People will not be able to do the work. So by sitting, how can they enjoy the life? Ond kade ಕೂತ್ ಹೆಂಗ್ ಎಂಜಾಯ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಿರ್ತಾರೆ? There is nothing but the way how they enjoyed the life. ಅದನ್ನೆಲ್ಲ ಮಾಡ್ಕೋತಿರ್ತಾರೆ. ನೆನಪು ಯಾವಾಗ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ತೀವಿ? When we have that kind of sweet memories, then only it is possible to remember. So except the first stanza of the poem, all those other 5 stanzas are making the reader to understand. We should not force the child to learn it at early age. At early age ಅಂತ ನಮಗೆ ಬಹಳ ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್ ಅದ. ಯಾಕಂದ್ರೆ ವಯಸ್ಸಾಗೋಕ್ಕಿಂತ ಮುಂಚೆನೆ it is just like, as he said, blossoms blown away, buds are nipped, plants are stripped before their springing days. If you trim the trees, it cannot enjoy, it cannot spring, it cannot enjoy, as well as it can't make us be enjoyed. ನಮಗೂ ಸಂತೋಷ ಸಿಗಂಗಿಲ್ಲ, ಅದಕ್ಕೂ ಆ ಸಂತೋಷ ಆಗಂಗಿಲ್ಲ. ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಹೇಳ್ತಾನೆ, you should not do this ಅಂತಂದಿಲ್ಲೇ ಮೆಸೇಜ್ ಕೊಡ್ತಾನೆ. With this video, I am going to attach the question answers too. In the first lesson, I have already told you to confine yourself while writing the long answers. And for 1 mark, there is no need to make sentences. Complete sentence ಬೇಕಾಗಿದ್ದಾಗ ಅಷ್ಟೇ ಮಾಡ್ರಿ, otherwise not necessary. Repeatedly, don't think that repeatedly I am doing the same. ಅದನ್ನೇ ಹೇಳ್ತೀನಿ ಅಂತ ತಿಳ್ಕೊಬೇಡ್ರಿ, because it is for the first time you are experiencing it. So I am making you to understand. Try ಮಾಡಿ ನೋಡ್ರಿ, what makes you comfortable, go through it. ಅದರ ಜೊತೆಗೆ ನೀವು ಅದನ್ನ ಕಂಟಿನ್ಯೂ ಮಾಡಬಹುದು. So after this video you will be having the question answers of this lesson. Thank you then.